do this. Mark Johnson talked a little bit about my background in crime victim rights. I was on the parole board in California. I did run a legal clinic representing crime victims in criminal cases, and I teach criminal justice at UALR. In fact, one of my former students was here earlier this evening. I've represented my family at the parole board because the man who murdered my parents applies for clemency all the time. I've represented other victims' families in court and in front of the California Parole Board. I met Senator David Sanders, who I think is going to be here tonight, but he's either tied up in traffic or in a meeting, and so I'm sorry he's not here yet because he has been incredible on this issue, more than any other representative in our legislature as far as on the parole issue. I met him right after Act 570 was passed. That was back in 2011, and he was a state representative then. And I called Dan Greenberg. Some of you may know he used to be a state representative. He runs the Advanced Arkansas Institute. And I said, I really need to talk to somebody in the legislature who knows something about parole because the system is a mess and it needs to change. And so he told me to talk to David Sanders, and I did. And David put together a work group to work on the parole issue. Boyce Hamlin is here, and I want you to applaud Boyce. I really mean it. You are so awesome. Boyce is a parole officer. He works for Cody Highland up in Faulkner County. Now, and what is that state board that Lamro reported?
Interstate Compact Commission.
The Interstate Compact Commission. They deal with other states and people who are paroled from other states to Arkansas and Arkansas to other states. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And we testified together this summer in the joint legislative review, joint performance review. Mr. Lowry did a great job asking questions of people from the Department of Community Corrections and Board of Corrections in that process. But David had us working on ideas for legislation. And so we gave him some ideas. We talked to him. There were other people involved in this as well as the two of us, but we really did all the work, right, Boyce? So David came up with 4 pieces of legislation to change the parole problems in this state. 3 of them got passed. And thank goodness they did, because when everything blew up with the parole system after Darrell Dennis was released from Pulaski County Jail, and 2 days later, Forrest Abrams was murdered, and then Darrell Dennis was charged with that murder. He hasn't been convicted yet, but okay, he did it. I'm fully convinced he did it, and didn't think a thing about it either, which is normal for career criminals. But anyway, so I feel very good about that, and because of that work we did, I think that puts some pressure on the Department of Community Corrections and the Board of Corrections. When the newspaper broke the story about the way parole issues were handled, if the newspaper had gotten internal documents, no changes would have been made. They would have still been telling Senator Sanders that, we don't need your legislation and everything is bad. But because of that, some huge changes have been made. One of the things, I am getting to what this has to do with Pulaski County. Just last week, there were 2 articles on Friday and an article on Sunday. Could you let Mr. Bobby in? Thank you. Welcome. Come in, you have a name tag over here. It's in the back. And I'll be through in just a minute. And I'll say it all over again just for you. But anyway, there's overcrowding in the prisons now because finally the people who have been let out on parole or early release have been getting revocation hearings when they commit felonies. And so now that's back at everybody in prison. Well, now they're wringing their hands and saying, oh no, we have too many people in prison. No, you don't. You have the people who should be in prison in prison. In fact, there are some that should be there who are not there. But Pulaski County has 160 beds that are empty in their jail. Those beds could be filled with people who are convicted felons waiting to go to do the rest of their sentence in state prison. But they need $4 million funds or not. We do, because there are bad people who do bad things. That's a reality. And the primary focus of government should be public safety. Because if it's not safe to leave your house and go to work, you're not going to go to work. If it's not safe to go be in school all day because you're being beat up by a gang there, you're not going to go to school. So it doesn't matter how good the schools are. So the primary thing is public safety. And this state is on its way to looking at it better because of people like Mark Lowry and David Sanders and Jane English and Doug House, who were here earlier. And we need to start at the county level of backing them up, of working with them, so that we can work out a way to get those 160 beds that are sitting there empty filled with people who need to be behind bars. And so that's the other reason that I think it's really important to have people on the forum court who are not afraid to say, you know what, this isn't working, and I think we need to try something else. And I think we need to work with the legislature, or I think we need to work with the governor and get this addressed. So that is why I'm running. Now,